Below the broken cross, the rain had not stopped in 11 days. It came down in black threads through the poison fog, hissing against rusted wire, and the swollen corpses tangled there like rotten fruit. Every shell crater along the western front had become a stagnant pool filled with blood, mud, and ash. The men called it St. Bartholomew's Vein because the trench network cut through the wasteland in endless branching arteries, pumping soldiers towards death day and night. Father James arrived there just before dusk. The transport carriage that brought him groaned across the duckboards, while chained censer bearers swung iron burners thick with incense. Bells rang somewhere far behind the lines, weakly, like they already knew they were tolling for the dead. James stepped down into the trench with his Bible wrapped in oilcloth beneath his coat. He was young for a priest's attachment, barely 30, pale-faced and thin. His white robes hung from him like funeral drapery. The soldiers watching him arrive looked half feral. Mud-caked men with cracked lips and trembling hands pressed themselves against the trench walls, carved from wet clay and packed bones. Some wore rosaries made of finger joints. Others had scripture hammered directly into their breastplates with nails. None of them smiled at him. A captain approached through the smoke. His uniform had once been white. "Father James." "Yes, Captain." The captain removed his helmet. The skin beneath his eyes sagged dark and sleepless. "I'm Captain Werner. We're grateful the church finally answered." James nodded politely. "Your message said the church required sanctification." Werner's face tightened. "It does." Another shell screamed overhead. The earth shook. Far off in the fog, artillery thunder rolled like the growl of some impossible beast waking beneath the world. James followed the captain deeper into St. Bartholomew's Vein. The trench narrowed as they walked. Timber supports leaned inward from rot. Water dripped consistently from overhead tarps. The deeper they descended, the quieter the soldiers became. No one spoke, and no one prayed. Some merely stared. James noticed symbols carved into the trench walls. At first, he mistook them for ordinary devotional markings. Crosses, saints, scriptural warnings. But the longer he looked, the stranger they became. The crosses bent inward unnaturally. The saints had no faces. The scripture repeated the same sentence over and over again. "He walks below." James slowed. "Who carved these?" No answer. Werner simply kept walking. At the end of the trench, sat a reinforced bunker of iron-plated timber, half submerged in mud. 2 soldiers guarded its entrance, carrying flame lances instead of rifles. One of them was crying, not loudly. He was crying silently. Tears cutting pale streaks through the grime on his face. Werner stopped before the bunker door. It started 3 weeks ago. James waited. Patrols heard digging beneath the trench at night. We thought enemy sappers were tunneling under us. The captain swallowed. But every tunnel we dug to intercept, it came back empty. A pause. And that's when the voices started. James felt cold despite the heat and the smoke. What kind of voices, Captain? Their confessions. The bunker creaked. From somewhere underneath it came a faint sound, a scraping sound. It was slow and rhythmic. James looked down instinctively. The captain leaned closer. The men hear priests speaking beneath the earth. Sometimes mothers, sometimes dead wives. His voice dropped even further. My God, one soldier clawed his own face off, trying to reach her. Another scrape echoed upward. James tightened his grip on the Bible. You believe this place is possessed? Werner stared at the bunker. Chaplain, I believe something underneath us wants us inside. The door opened. The smell that emerged was unbearable. It was rot, wet earth, and the smell of sweet decay. Inside the bunker, candles lined the walls in nervous clusters. Soldiers sat shoulder to shoulder, whispering prayers with shaking mouths. None of them looked healthy anymore. They looked hollowed out. At the center of the room sat Brother Maxis, or what was left of him. The old priest had been attached to the trench before James arrived. Now, he was strapped upright to a wooden chair with iron chains around his chest and throat. His eyes were gone. The sockets were smooth inside, as though nothing ever existed there at all. His mouth hung open slightly. He was breathing, but just barely. James approached carefully. Brother Maxis, is that you? The eyeless priest smiled. Don't let it hear you, James. James froze. Maxis tilted his head towards the floorboards. It learns your voice first, James. Another scrape came from below. It was closer this time. The floor vibrated faintly beneath their boots. James looked to Werner. How long has it been like this? Oh, Maxis? He tore his own eyes out 4 days ago. The captain's jaw tightened. Said he saw heaven opening beneath the trench. The old priest began laughing softly. Wet laughter. Broken laughter. Then he whispered, "It wears the dead like clothing." A soldier in the corner suddenly screamed. Everyone turned. The young man had begun clawing frantically at the mud wall beside him. "My brother's down there," he shrieked. I can hear him." Two others grabbed him before he could dig deeper. But the wall answered. A knock came from inside the earth. 3 slow taps. Every candle in the bunker flickered violently. Then the voice came. "Thomas." It was soft, gentle, a woman's voice. The screaming soldier collapsed, sobbing, It's my mother." The floor beneath them groaned. James stepped backwards instinctively. The voice continued. "Thomas, let me in." More knocking followed, not from one place, but from everywhere. The walls, the ceiling, beneath their feet. The trench itself seemed alive with every movement. James opened his Bible with trembling hands and began reciting scripture aloud. The reaction was immediate. Every sound stopped. Silence swallowed the bunker completely. Then, Brother Maxis began screaming. Not words, not prayers, but he was screaming in pure animal terror. The eyeless priest strained against his chain so violently, blood ran from his wrists. "I heard you, James." The bunker floor exploded upward. Mud and splintered boards erupted across the room as something enormous forced itself halfway through the earth. At first, James could not understand what he was seeing. It looked human, only in fragments. Limbs protruded at impossible angles from a swollen mass of black flesh, slick with soil and blood. Faces moved across its body like drowned corpses trapped beneath ice. Mouths opened and closed soundlessly along its skin. Dozens of them, hundreds, and all of them wore expressions of agony. The soldiers opened fire instantly. Gunfire deafened the bunker. Chunks of flesh tore free from the thing, but beneath the wounds, more faces simply emerged, screaming silently through the meat. Then the creature spoke, not from one mouth, but from all of them. "We are the holy dead." The bunker lanterns burst. Darkness consumed everything except muzzle flashes and candle embers. Men began screaming. James heard flesh tearing, bones cracking. Something wet hit his face. He stumbled backwards against the wall, desperately reciting prayers while soldiers died around him in the dark. Then, hands seized him. Cold, human hands. He looked down. Bodies were emerging from the broken floorboards. Not whole bodies, just upper torsos dragging themselves upward from beneath the earth. Dead soldiers, priests, children, all blind and all whispering, "Below, below, below." James tried to pull free, but fingers wrapped around his robes and his arms. The creature in the center of the bunker unfolded higher. Its mass stretched towards the ceiling, while the faces across it writhed endlessly. One face emerged near the top, a young, beautiful woman, and she was crying. She looked directly at James and spoke in his mother's voice. "James." He stopped struggling. The voice was perfect, exactly as he remembered. Warm and loving. She'd been dead for 15 years. "James, come home." Tears filled his eyes instantly. "No, no." "We missed you, James." The thing extended dozens of grasping arms towards him. Behind him, the soldiers were dying one by one. Screams cut short, bones snapping. Wet, feeding sounds echoed through the bunker. But James barely heard them anymore. His mother smiled sadly. "You cannot save them." The creature leaned closer. "God abandoned this trench long ago." The bunker walls began collapsing inward. Mud poured through the ceiling. Outside, artillery thundered endlessly, while St. Bartholomew's vein sank deeper into the black earth. James fell to his knees. The hands around him tightened. Cold fingers pulled him downward into the opening beneath the floorboards, into the dark, into the mass of whispering dead below the trench. And for one terrible moment, before the earth swallowed him completely, he heard thousands of voices praying together beneath the world, not to God, but to something listening far below. The bunker finally collapsed entirely before dawn. When reinforcements arrived 2 days later, they found St. Bartholomew's vein empty. No bodies, no weapons, and no survivors. Only miles of abandoned trenches filled with ankle-deep mud and strange carvings scratched into every wall. They read, "He walks below." And from deep beneath the earth, very faintly, came the sound of digging.